Hello my friends, in this video I want to speak about the situation in Iran and inability of the United States administration to resolve the issue. So Trump's abrupt U-turn on plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz came after backlash from allies. So basically Saudi Arabia was the main ally. According to NBC News, the Project Freedom operation halted one day after it started just because Saudi Arabia blocked the access for American army to use its airspace. Or at least Saudis threatened to block that access. All of that shows the miscommunication between allies and the United States of America. Donald Trump just comes out with the solutions and he's not negotiating with his allies even in that region. Okay, we're gonna start some of the Project Freedom right away. I wonder who got originally that idea. Donald Trump himself? I don't think so. I guess he was advised to escort those commercial vessels from the Persian Gulf, but how it was done, again, it's total nonsense. You need to communicate every sort of the operation with your critical allies because you have their bases and you're gonna use their airspace for those missions. Yeah, sorry for the ads, that's the NBC News article. So Trump surprised Gulf allies by announcing Project Freedom on social media Sunday afternoon. The official said angering leadership in Saudi Arabia. In response, the kingdom informed the United States it would not allow United States military to fly aircraft from Prince Sultan Air Base Southern. Basically, they blocked the airspace for United States military operation because there was no negotiation. A phone call between Trump and Saudi prince did not resolve the issue, so United States had to finish that operation because it's impossible for the United States Navy to conduct it, for United States Air Force to operate this Project Freedom operation without being in cooperation with allies. But you see the attitude of the White House administration of how they really do not care to even communicate, cooperate with the key partners. So of course those guys from Saudi, they're mad about it and other Gulf countries because it is escalation. And who would Iran retaliate against? Yes, some of the United States military bases, and we're gonna speak about it in this video, but also Iran may aim infrastructure of those Gulf countries. And that is what Iran did. It hit one of the main refineries of United Arab Emirates. There is also an oil storage. The fire there continued for 1 day at least. Plus, Iran also targeted multiple of the commercial vessels. One was very close to UAE and it went on fire. So other Gulf allies were also caught off guard. The president spoke with leaders in Qatar after the effort had already begun. So those leaders, they basically saw what we saw in a true social media, those crazy Trump posts. That's it. No one negotiated with them. And this is unhinged. This is again shows the incompetence of the White House administration. And what is also crazy that the United States neglected the support from its allies and then they wanted to help. For example, Ukraine tried to help to the United States well before. Even 1 year ago, Ukraine proposed to the United States to create some sort of the joint production of the drone interceptors. By the way, the same offer was from Ukraine to Israel 2 years ago, but Benjamin Netanyahu said no. Okay, he said no. But Trump said the same, like, we don't need the help from the Ukraine. Or no, he said like, Ukraine is the last country from which we need the support in this epic fury operation, because it's epic fury and we are epic. We're gonna win this war, we're gonna achieve all of the objectives. But what is happening that the United States with this operation and they're not reaching anything. For example, Marco Rubio recently in his press conference said that they want to return to the previous format, that the Hormuz Strait was open for everyone. So the war with Iran created worse conditions for the United States, for allies, for everyone. Yeah, for Iran as well, but epic fury was kind of useless, especially saying about the losses which American army also had. And I already told about the American bases on my Captain Dennis channel. By the way, please check it out in the video description right below. There I published some of the videos which are off topic. Nevertheless, you see, yeah, there is the censorship applied on satellite images by American corporations who are providing those images to the public use. So you see a huge rectangular here, or they just blur images. Those are the American bases and they censor all of the images for us not to understand the possible scale of the losses that American army sustained during the Epic Fury operation. But nevertheless, we have the access to the international data. There are some of the other companies in the world, European providers, Chinese, and of course Russians, and they publish their own photos, which are legit, and they were published recently by Washington Post. Let's look at them. So here we go. Those are the images of the destroyed buildings, infrastructure, and equipment of the United States military. And the scale of the destruction is really huge. 217 of the buildings were hit by precise Iranian strikes. I don't see any sort of the craters aside of the critical infrastructure of the United States bases. Just precise hits compared to what the United States also did to Iran. So those retaliation strikes from Iran were actually successful, and I wonder about the real losses of American military. It was reported 12 or 13 as far as I remember, plus 300 around wounded personnel. 300 wounded, it's crazy. And also counting that several of the barracks were hit. Well, maybe I'm just guessing that the real number could be bigger, and Donald Trump's administration just doesn't tell it to the public not to make this war with Iran even more unpopular. Well, this is probably the most unpopular war as it is from the very start, and so far I do not see the signs for it to be over anytime soon. I do not think that Iran will give up its nuclear program, enriched uranium, but that is the main demand from Donald Trump, and he insists for Iran to give it to the United States and close the program entirely. Well, we'll see. I think Iran will not do it. So the war in one or other way will continue. And also according to those images which I showed you, well, actually more than 100 of those were published. Well, United States lost also air defense systems like THAAD radar that was hit, AVAX airplane, we all saw those images, but also many more of the equipment, like for example also Patriot systems. And again, Ukraine was proposing its help to the United States of America. The help was mainly rejected, and only after those strikes Ukraine started the negotiations with some of the officials of the United States that okay, it's better to develop some sort of the drone interceptors. And I saw recently how United States they're testing their drone interceptors for the first time. Allegedly they're being produced in collaboration with the Ukraine. That is outstanding. But for this job to be done, sadly United States had to really see that they needed drones, because Shahids, they're flying, and the Patriot air defense, it could be not that effective, and it's very expensive. So you may use it to shut down cruise missiles, ballistics, but drones, come on. The other thing that I don't really understand why there were no underground facilities in those American bases for the soldiers to hide below. Instead, we see how they film of what is happening over the ground, and they themselves hide somewhere behind those bricks. Crazy. No trenches, no dugouts. Why? This is American military base, and you should expect that the possible enemy, and now it's the active enemy Iran, may strike you. And for the safety of the personnel, they should hide somewhere below. Why those engineering facilities were not constructed, it's hard for me to understand. Well, instead, the United States relocated soldiers to the hotels, but Iran also hit several of the hotels during the Epic Fury retaliation strikes. Well, the hotels were not damaged that much compared to the military bases of the United States. So we see that compared to 2025, to the last year, Iran really strikes very precisely. And who helps Iran to do it? Of course, Russia. We know it from the open sources, from intelligence sources, that Russia provided detailed information to Iran about the location of not just American military bases of their buildings, but also of equipment, like where is the Patriot air defense system is placed, where is the particular aircraft located, and that is how Iran was successful with those very precise strikes. So yeah, the post that was published by Donald Trump a couple of days ago about the end of the Project Freedom operation, because of the great progress that has been made towards the complete and final agreement with Iran, nothing of that is true. The truth is that Saudi Arabia blocked the access for United States military to operate from their main military bases. That's it. And without it, Donald Trump is useless in the Middle East. I would say more. Donald Trump is useless without European allies as well. They are needed for logistics, for United States military. So I do not believe that Donald Trump may withdraw the forces massively from Europe or he would like to threaten NATO. He just blah 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 out there on Truth Social. De facto, without NATO, United States, they're losing great supply shoulder, and operation in the Middle East depends on not just key allies in the region but also on European allies. The main hospital for the United States soldiers is located in Germany, for those soldiers who have been wounded during all of those operations in the Middle East. And yeah, by the way, later Axios published the article saying that there is some of the agreement at the final stage, it could be reached. I don't believe in that. First of all, Axios is affiliated with Davydov and they may publish absolutely everything, maybe even to manipulate on stock market or poly market, or maybe present Donald Trump as some of the victorious in this confrontation. The fact that nothing of that is happening and the attitude of Donald Trump towards Iran in those negotiations is the same as for negotiations about Ukraine and Russia. Then the circle of communications with Zelensky, Davydov, those calls with Putin, it goes again and again and again, and the result is nothing burger. Absolutely same stuff for Iran. We're gonna dismantle their civilization, we're gonna bomb their bridges, their power plants, their distillation units. If they do not agree for our proposal, we're gonna escalate. I give them 48 hours, and if they do not agree on our demands, I'm gonna smash them with my military. That's what Donald Trump tweets usually, and after, right few hours before, he tackles. Yeah, he says, oh, we are very close to agreement, it's fine, but later on another wave. Oh, let's escalate. Then again. And the stock market goes up and down, oil futures and so on, who is very familiar with Donald Trump's tweets, is earning lots of the money. Well, maybe it's not a single person, it's the entire group, and it's the corruption. Probably it's the most corrupt management of the United States ever. And the future of the Iranian war, it's uncertain, and judging on the competence of the White House administration, or incompetence, it's better to say, I do not expect anything good for the outcome, sadly. Well guys, stand by for Ukrainian update, and please follow me on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or you may join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join. Also, please press your like to this video and subscribe for the channel. It is very, very important. Thank you so much guys, you're awesome. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.